Welcome to Chronic Health Collective, where we empower you to transform every area of your life. We've gathered the best coaches and experts in the world to bring you weekly insights that will elevate your physical, mental, and spiritual well being. Whether you're looking to boost your energy, heal relationships, or live a more productive, balanced life, we're here to guide you every step of the way. Now, today we have a special guest for you. She's perfect for our topic today. Her name is Dawn Omosa, and she is a board certified holistic health coach, founder of New Dawn Holistic Health, and a wellness advocate specializing in empowering individuals and organizations to embrace holistic well being. Now, Dawn has a 30-year background in human resources and personal experience overcoming a serious health condition. Dawn integrates emotional resilience, energy healing, and personalized wellness strategies to help clients transform their lives. She's passionate about creating communities that thrive through inclusivity, creativity, and mutual support. And her expertise extends to guiding workplace wellness and inspiring career transitions for a health conscious life. Welcome, Dawn.
Hi, Minna. Happy New Year. So nice to
Happy
see you
New Year.
again.
I know it's been so nice to talk to you. So Dawn, we're talking about new beginnings today, and I somehow feel like you're the perfect person for this. And just to start with your name. Your name is Dawn, which is the new beginning, basically. So
Yeah,
Dawn,
go
yeah,
ahead.
in the bio, you did mention that you have a serious health condition. So let's start there and let's see how that brings you your new beginning.
Yeah, so last year was a very transformative time for me, where I had been diagnosed with a tumor in my belly. And so, something that I didn't even anticipate, but I went through the process, took care of it. But the aftermath, right? The recovery, just the physical limitations, it's just like everything's all new. But the aftermath of the emotional healing was the biggest struggle, I think. Like it took me months to even just explain what was going on without having to cry.
Yeah.
It's just a very emotional time. But I've gotten to the point where I finally accepted, this journey that I had been on, and tried to look at it more from the perspective that there were things that I needed to learn, during this transformation. And it's been l- crazy. It's been eye awakening. But it just gave me more purpose and more validation of what I was trying to achieve in developing New Dawn Holistic Health. And so, it helped me get more clarity and where I wanted to go with this. There was still, more things that I needed to question. And it's like the more I prepare myself and study about these topics and how I can help people learn about my situation and how I overcame some of the challenges, like the more curious I am about quantum healing and the new sciences that's out there, and everything else that comes with it.
So I feel like there's a lot of content that we're going to talk about, a lot of scientific methods that we're going to talk about. So let's start with a new beginning. So Don, when you were in January and everybody has see this as like a new beginning this year's going to be the best year. Usually that feeling falls off after a while.
Right.
What do you do that is different that you can actually make this year a better year for you?
Yeah, I think for me, my approach to the new 2025 year is not looking at it that it's a time thing, right? And I think that's why by the second week of January, everyone's goals that they have put, they set out to do and they intended to do, and they're writing it in their planners, right? They're like so motivated, but they quickly fall off the bandwagon because there's other things that they haven't accounted for. So, the goal intention, it's well intended to set goals for yourself because they're looking for ways of improvement. But there's a process that we're missing. And so for me, it's like time doesn't exist, right? Like I want to just get rid of the calendar because it limits us, you know. It's just like we're thinking, okay, it gives us an excuse to say, okay, it's now January 2025. Now I have an excuse to be motivated again, you know, right? But by June, it's like, oh, I haven't really done anything. Well, I'm just gonna fall back into my old habits and still not achieve anything. And then, you know, October, November, December comes along, and then I give myself another excuse. It's like, well, I kind of tried, but you know what? January is coming along and I can start fresh again. So that's a really horrible mindset that we've been taught with this 1 month calendar. New beginnings should be every single day of our lives, right? It shouldn't be based on this 12-month calendar that we've been taught.
So it sounds like new beginnings, like there's always like a mixed bag of emotions as you go through the process. How is there a better way to navigate through them so that you I guess motivate yourself better to stay on target?
Yeah, I guess we have to reflect on why is it that we feel the need for this shift to make some kind of change in our life, right? Whether it's just eating healthier, if it's our career, or if it's just how we're approaching our lives on a day-to-day basis. And so I I don't know, like I I've come to the reality that when it comes to new beginnings, understanding why we even are receiving that call, you know, it's like that person on your shoulder telling you, hey, something's not, we're not in alignment here with something. So that's giving you the push that feels like you want to change. And we have to define, I think, why we're kind of being geared towards this new path. So
So let's talk about you, Don. I mean, you had some difficult times last year.
mhm.
What kind of emotions do you go through when you start the new beginning this year?
um well, one of the things too that happened while I was going through my recovery of surgery was losing my full-time job, right, in HR, where we got laid off because the hospital was taken over by someone else. But the emotions that you feel, or what I would have felt had I not been what do you call, educating myself on how to have a better mindset and how to, you know, change my perspective of what's happening in my world today. um, that helped me look at it as, again, like I mentioned, that it's not degrading, or it's not like a challenge, or it's like getting away from the victim mindset. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing, right? Is the victim mindset, and not allowing myself to go down an emotional roller coaster. You know, it's just like we all already have these indicators prior to this one major event that comes up in our life that is already nudging you, you know, it's preparing you, like, hey, something's coming, and you don't listen to your intuition. And then when it finally happens, we naturally go down this rabbit hole of emotions of, you know, feeling like, oh my gosh, why is this happening to me? You know, um, what am I going to do next? How do I explain this to other people? Because, you know, they're going to be asking, okay, well, you lost your job. Now what? Now, how are you going to pay for your bills, and how this and how that, right? And so dismissing the outside environmental influences is the biggest challenge. And then, of course, what all the craziness that's going on in your mind.
So you mentioned that you educated yourself to navigate through the emotional roller coaster, right?
Mhm.
Um, is there any tips you can tell the viewers on what kind of education they need to self-educate themselves?
Yeah, it takes a lot of practice, and I read a lot of books throughout the years and watched a lot of videos. Um, but it always starts with the awareness of knowing that your emotions and feelings are going down the path that you don't want, right? And so just having that awareness that something triggered me, I'm not feeling I'm perceiving something really bad. So how do I shift my perspective on that very quickly. And it's the simplest thing. So let's say, for example, I mean, I think the most common thing that everyone can relate to is like, driving in traffic for an hour and not even moving. We start getting frustrated because most of us are trying to get home, to go pick up our kids or do dinner or whatever, right? So you start you start thinking about all kinds of crazy things. And I was just having this discussion with my partner the other day about how in our own silence we start having these conversations with people that are not even there. And it's not even having a conversation with yourself, you're actually having an argument. Like, you remember, an argument that you had with someone, and then you all of a sudden in your mind that person is there, and you're having this other, argument all over again. So it's like really crazy. So what I do is like I immediately know, it's like, oh my gosh, why am I even thinking about this situation, and why am I even having a conversation with someone that's not even there? And so I just quickly just shift my vision, and I just look at the sky. I'm like, oh yeah, the sky is pretty clear today. And it seems silly, but at least it takes you away from continuing that thought.
Yeah, so I agree. The first step is definitely to have the awareness that you're going down the wrong path, basically,
Hmm.
right? And
Yeah.
then what about intentions? What do you feel like is the power of intention to how it relates to new beginnings?
You know, that's such a big topic in our world, right? With holistic healing and what is the power of intention. And of course, we all say that we intend to do something, but that's just how we were programmed and how we're supposed to exist and how we communicate things in this world. And sometimes we have to take a step back and say, okay, yeah, I intend, or like me as a mother, I intend to make the right and the best choices and provide, the right and setting and being the right role model for my children. That's what I intend to do. But do we always do what we intend? And why is it, that even if it is a really high priority, or if that's, like something that's very important to you, um, the intention that she set out doesn't get doesn't we don't follow through with it. And it's I guess we have to just take a look at why we are resisting and why we even put out that intention to begin with, if that makes any sense. um so I don't know, I think I'm like rambling here, but
So is intention the same as goals, or is it actually a different thing?
I I perceive it as different, right? Goal is like a is I'm trying to get from A to B, right? There is a certain destination that you're trying to get to, where intention is more of um, how do you wanna pursue, how do you want to move forward, and why you're moving forward with some kind of activity, you know. I don't know if that makes sense, but kind of just drawing a blank a little bit right now. Sorry. It's been crazy today. Um,
So yeah, so do you feel like the concept of new beginnings, does it work for everybody across different backgrounds, different cultures, different ethnicities?
yeah, because we've all had different upbringings, right? And we all been programmed with different beliefs. So new beginnings are actually going to even mean different things to different people. Um, but not everyone is prepared for it, right? We all want it, but sometimes we don't act upon making those changes to have those new beginnings, out of fear, um, the fear of the unknown. It's like we always tend to say, what if it doesn't go the way that we want, rather than saying, well, what if I did try and take this new pathway to start something new, and it turns out better than I had even expected, or it presents different opportunities that I didn't even think existed, right? And that's, when we talk about getting out of your comfort zone and doing things that you don't want or trying different things, yeah, you come to the realization of things that you're not even aware of. And but we have to take that step, that first step, right? To take some kind of action for some kind of new beginning.
So is there what if is someone that had a great last year, they don't want to start something new? Is that such a situation that you don't I don't want a new beginning. I want things to be exactly the same as last time.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's normal, right? Because if we finally were able to achieve something that we wanted to do, and it all came to fruition, we kind of want to just live in that moment for a while and take it all in, because it's a process, and it's not easy to achieve the things that you want to do. Even the most simplest things, like getting out to your backyard and making sure you're pulling the weeds and mowing the lawn. I mean, it could be as simple as that. um, but I think we also have to keep in mind that we in this world that we live in, or as human beings, and everything that's connected with nature, everything is evolving, whether we like it or not. And so our experience of how we're dealing or experiencing the change depends on how well we're preparing ourselves for it, right? So we can ignore it and just let the creator dictate which direction we're going to go, or we can equip ourselves with just learning more new things, and when the opportunity presents itself, we'll know how to act on it, right?
That makes sense. So let's hold a thought. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to continue with our conversation with Don.
Okay, thank you.
A life empowered is closer than you think. We're all looking for a better way. Reimagine what's next with a new sense of exuberance. Why not power on like you mean it? Or power off blissfully? A better sleep is a better awake. You've never moved like this before. With the energy nature intended. Imagine reprogramming the way you look at the speed of science. At longevity. At exhilaration. It's next level rejuvenation. Take control of your well-being from the inside out and outside in. The light within is ready to ignite. Be the light. LifeWave.
Welcome back to Chronic Health Collective. Today we have Don Amausa with us. So Don, we were talking about new beginnings and setting intentions. So I don't know about you, when we talking about holistic health, I get a lot of rejections on people saying that this is not a science, there's no scientific proof. But I think for you, you actually have something called the Quantum Group Coherence. I'm not familiar with it, so maybe could you tell us what it is and how it is your practice is actually more scientific more scientific than we realize it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So upon completing my certification as a holistic health coach, I'm also a student in trying to finish up my doctorates in natural medicine at the Quantum University, and it is backed by a lot of scientists that has these case studies to prove it. It's just, for folks that are hesitant or they don't understand what quantum healing is all about, of course they're going to resist it because they haven't given it the time to really research it, right? And that's just their limiting beliefs, because it's change, right? Because then it's like, wait a minute, my doctor who I go to, I'm going to use my own situation, right? My very own PCP was not the one that found the tumor. And I see her every 6 months. I see her every 6 months and did not know that this tumor was growing in my belly. But it was because of the tools that I had learned about through my studies. One of them was called the quantum evaluation. And it's just a 100 question survey, but it focuses on Chinese medicine theories. And it looks at, the major organs, and it'll, after answering the questions, it'll kind of give you an indication of like, hey, maybe there's some kind of misalignment with some of your major organs, whether it's a possibility of a physical ailment or if it has something to do with your emotions, because our emotions impact the energy of our organs, right? So, that's another podcast, But for me, when I did the quantum evaluation, it told me that there was an imbalance in my stomach and my large intestine. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I always get indigestion, but I didn't pursue it any further because I was just like, okay, all right, so this kind of makes sense. And then I learned another tool in with the school, where I did a bioresonance hair test, where you basically take hair follicles and they scan it on this bioresonance thing, scanner, and then it looks for like food sensitivities or where there's imbalances, with your minerals, your vitamins, and all of that good stuff. But in that report showed that there was a red flag again with my stomach and my intestines. And I just completely like, okay, like all of us are like, yeah, I'm gonna take this test. I want to see what's wrong with me. But then it tells you and you don't do anything. So that for me, that's what happened. And so, oh my gosh, I totally derailed. But those tools have scientific backing, and those are science, new science equipment. So yeah, I totally get why people are reluctant. But again, it's like, yes, you rely on the physician who is supposed to be the expert, but what they don't realize is that with our system with healthcare, even if they wanted to, they're limited because, oh, you know what, it's not covered by your insurance. So I might be able to help you, but guess what, the insurance is not going to cover this test that I want to give you unless you tell me there's something particularly wrong with you, and that would be okay for me to want to give this test to you, to let's go figure out what's wrong. So yeah, that's the fragment of our, the dysfunction of our healthcare system. And so that's why, there is this shift with holistic health and having to integrate the two worlds. And there's resistance on both sides, not just the consumer, but even with physicians, because it's like, oh my gosh, I've been studying things and I've been learning it this way. And now here comes all these health coaches that didn't even have to do as much study and spend that much money on tuition, and they're getting better results with my clients than I can as an actual doctor. So
Yeah, so I feel like it's actually a similar process, right? Like the traditional process, we go to see a doctor, they ask you a few questions, and if they think something might be wrong, they send you out for some diagnostic tests. So that's a standard way. That's the way I used to grow up with. The way you described it, you start with the questions, the 100 questions, which I feel like is a lot more detailed, because when you go to a doctor, they ask you, what do you feel? It's only
Right.
maybe 3 or 4 questions, right?
Right.
When you do like 100 questions, then you're really driving to the bottom of how you feel yourself, which is basically raising your own awareness of where you feel the imbalance might be. And then you approach it with a scientific way to actually diagnose what is going on, right? So I think that's actually a really good way to self-diagnose. So
Yeah, and right, and it's we have to be careful because everyone is, I mean, everyone is experts in WebMD and they're self-diagnosing, which, I'm sure myself and as well as physicians, they cringe at that because, then we become, chronic diagnosers of our conditions, and we think we have all these diseases or these illnesses that we don't have, so that's the thing with there's so much information out there that how do we filter that out, and how can we, I don't know, it's a tricky one. It's a tricky one, and then you add AI into this being, um in one of my classes, they tested AI and they asked a specific, question about a specific case, right, or like a specific condition, and AI was able to produce something more accurate than the physician itself, so yeah, there's going to be a big paradigm shift and acceptance of what's available, but we just also have to be careful in how much we allow, the community to take their health in their own hands, because it could also be more destructive for them, because there is certain things that they don't study, so even like, a lot of things that I've learned at Quantum was about our overuse with even like essential oils and how we're ingesting it, and using it every day. And, yeah, I'm all about essential oils, but it's so pure. It's just as bad as taking a medication every day. So we have to be cautious of how we're utilizing it, and even not just topically or ingesting it, but even as we, love to diffuse it in our homes every single day. And it's like, if you're running that thing 8 hours a day, you're actually not doing yourself any service. You're causing yourself more harm, so it's like you really should limit it to like an hour at a time, even as much as it smells great and it makes you feel good, so it's stuff like that that, whether you're coming from the holistic side or the traditional medicine, those are the challenges that we're all going to face. Yeah.
So let's bring it back to the power of intention. How do we connect the power of intention with quantum group coherence? It sounds like science and arts putting together.
Yeah. So again, this theory, or what I'm trying to achieve this year, is group coherence, right? So Lynne McTaggart, she wrote the book The Power of Intention, where they had a group of people come together and they pretty much did a process, and their intention was to create healing for other people, right? So it's kind of like, I guess you could also compare it to like a prayer group. And so the concept goes in that, but at Quantum University, Dr. Paul Druin also created what he calls, it's an app, it's called Project Noosphere, Noosphere. And so it stems from, Lynne McTaggart's theory about coherence, group coherence. Like, if we're all coming together as a community, because we are all entangled, right? If we're all going in the same direction and we're all focusing on the same thing, then we're sending that same energies to create in external healing for the community, right? So Project Newsphere is something that I want to mimic, but I wanted to challenge it a little bit more, because with theirs is more of how do we how do we create healing for the external, but I want it to be more of a hybrid, because we have to fix ourselves first before we work on trying to help others, right? Because if we're not fixing ourselves, and we're sending out intentions, we're also sending some of our bad stuff over to them, right? So if we're not careful, we could be doing the complete opposite thing. And the sense of community, I think at the end of the day, it's like we all try to I think finding our own spirituality, like, pushes us to go into hermit mode, because we need to get that clarity of all these things that's just changing our world, right? Of what we thought life was about, or how we exist in this world. But at the end of the day, we're craving for love and group. Like, it's like we all need to just like kind of blend in together. And that's why I'm looking forward to doing this project. But I also know how bringing in people who are not at the same level, or haven't been educating themselves in the same way that I have, can also be could also go in the wrong direction that I don't want this project to go. So it's going to be, a really small group. And what Lynne McTaggart did was she only concentrated with smaller groups, like the power of 8. So, 8 people. So I really have to vet who comes into the group, and really prepare them for what we're going to do to help ourselves. Because I finally, figured out what I'm going to do for my dissertation. Because that's the one thing that's been holding me back from finishing my schooling. Because I'm like, what do I, like, I'm 51 years old. Why am I even going down this path? But the other day I was like driving, and that's when I get these crazy downloads, because like today's topic, I was going to talk about career transformations. I'm like, no. No, you got to talk about this instead. But I was like, okay, we're going through what we always refer back to is like this hero's journey that we're all on, right? And then there's also the new paradigm about quantum jumping or quantum leaping, right? So I'm like, okay, what does that mean? So quantum leaping means like manifesting something to your existence on steroids. Like, now I'm not gonna take 30 days and talk about doing gratitude journals for 30 days and doing affirmations every single day. If it is true that we can quantum leap, then it can be something that can happen instantaneously, right? And so I'm like, okay, but if that is possible, if we can quantum leap like that and change our world in an instant, then how does that affect this hero's journey concept that's been around for years, right? And so, yeah, there is that possibility of quantum leaping, but then there's always going to have that pushback of well, your body and your mind needs to integrate what's happened. And I challenge that, because if you're questioning that, that's your subconscious talking, right? But there's no way to completely null and void your subconscious. It's always going to be there. So how do we use our subconscious as a tool versus it being a limiter in how we make decisions in our lives every day? So I know it's like high talk. I mean, it's like, but I really want to figure that. Like, I'm so curious about how do we do that, because otherwise it's just a vicious circle that we're constantly going through. Or we're gonna run, a vicious cycle that we're going to go through. We achieve certain things and we make that paradigm shift, but then we have to go through the process again, because our subconscious has some other limiting belief that's lingering out there, and then we got to go clear that, and then we got to, and it's exhausting. So I'm trying to figure out a way. It's like, okay, we were missing something, and I'm on a mission to figure that in between.
Yeah, I feel like you're talking about like a direct line to the high powers.
Mm-hmm.
to like expedite the process, and I feel that's actually very attractive. So is there like a resistance to your concept? What happens if
Yeah, the resistance is not me, because I'm on this path. Like I want to, like I have downloads all the time, and that just lights me up, and I can just go hours and hours and days in trying to figure this out. The limitations that happen is my external influences. Because they have no idea what the hell I'm talking about, right? And then they're questioning. And so, like, I was even sharing this concept with my partner, and he was like, "Why are you going so deep?" I'm like, "Why not? Like, why not? Like, why do we continually want to repeat this vicious cycle that we have to get to just feel any joy and peace in our lives? Like, let's bypass the subconscious, the conscious. Let's just get to super conscious."
it is very intriguing, Dawn. So let's hold a thought. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll continue our discussion.
Are you struggling to communicate effectively or lead with clarity? At Bambushu Coaching, Vince, a certified peace specialist and brain health trainer, offers solutions tailored to your needs. Whether it's developing better leadership skills, improving communication, or fostering peace in stressful environments, Vince has the tools to help you thrive. Through personalized coaching and training, Vince helps you tap into your strengths, reduce stress, and communicate with confidence. The result: stronger leadership, clearer communication, and more peaceful, productive environments. Ready to lead with clarity and peace? Connect with Vince at Bambushu Coaching today.
Is like a lightning rod. It's energy that's coming in, tremendous energy that's coming in. It's up to every single one of us of what we're going to do with that energy.
Welcome back to Chronic Health Collective. Today we have Dawn Omalsa with us. So Dawn, before the break, we were talking about connecting the power of intention with quantum group coherence and how we can expedite the process, I guess. So let's talk about it a little bit more, because I think there are a lot of viewers that would be intrigued. How did you get in? How would someone get into that?
That's a hard question. I think for me, the reason why I've gotten to this level, it's because from when I was a child, I've had so many different experiences that I wasn't aware of what it was until I got older. And then as I got older and I had more challenges in my life, I sought personal development and started to learn more about spirituality. And like most of us, then certain people are put into our paths to help us learn and figure out what our purpose is in life. And so I don't think it's going to be for everyone. And and it's tough. It's tough. Into like even just going into this, holistic health, it's like, yeah, a lot of my friends and family, they're not gonna understand it, but there are some people in my family that totally get where I'm coming from, can totally understand this path that I'm going through. And one of them actually validated my craziness the other week, not the other week, a month ago at a family party. And one of them was, when I was younger, I used to have a lot of dreams where I actually saw myself coming out of my body and like floating across the room. You know what I mean? It's like, so it's like astral projection, right? Or I would anticipate things like, when I was a kid, I knew I had forgotten my slippers where I wasn't supposed to put it. And because I didn't, I wasn't actually home that day, and the dog across the street took it. But I knew, like, I was sleeping, and I actually got up woke up from in my sleep, and I walked out because I was like, oh, I gotta go get my slippers because the dog is gonna get it, not knowing that the dog already took it. But stuff like that. But the family member, it's stuff like that. And I had a dream where I saw one of my ancestors in their home that they lived in, and pretty much that person told me, hey, you know what, there's like this portal in our house. Let me show you the secret door. That was my dream. I remember my dreams a lot. And so when I saw one of my family members, I said, hey, you know what, I saw this person in my dream in this house, and they told me that there's a secret room in the house. And my aunt said, oh yeah, there's a portal behind the towel rack in the back bedroom door. And I was like, that's where she took me. It's like crazy stuff like that. So those are the kind of experiences that I had growing up, and that's why I'm so intrigued about learning more about it. And of course I understand where everyone else is coming from, so I know that they want the scientific proof, right? So that's why I'm trying to educate myself as much as I can. But I also know that it's okay, right? It's not going to be for everyone. It's maybe only for the select few, but I'm still going to share what I know, because I never know when it's going to trigger something enlightening for someone else. So everyone else is dumping all their knowledge to us that we don't want to know, and we listen. So why not this?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you definitely have your unique perspective, and I'm glad that you shared with us, because like there's someone else out there that would resonate with you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so if you put your experience into the group setting that we talked about, would you see putting people with similar experiences together in a group, or would you put people with different experiences into a group?
It's that's going to be a really, really tricky one, right? Because they're going to come in thinking this is why they're coming in.
True.
And then they're going to realize, like, oh no, there's something much bigger that I needed to learn first before I even tackle this or what I'm trying to achieve. And and that's why too, like, okay, so I wrote this book called Navigating Workplace Challenges, and it's a guide for employees, because I really wanted to help the employees deal with their mindset in the workplace when they're dealing with the crazy challenges that they have to deal with. But as I was trying to wrap it up, I'm like, this is good, but there's a step before that needs to happen before they even can take these steps and put it into action, because it is about your mindset and identifying who you are and letting go of the external influences and the beliefs of, number one, worrying about what other people think, as I'm trying to change the status quo or doing something different, right? Especially like family members, trying to do a career shift at age 40, even at age 40, you're going to get a lot of resistance, because everyone's panicking, like, well, okay, you're going to do that, so what does that mean? Like, everyone's selfish. Like,
Sure.
selfish. They're not thinking about what's best for you. So how do you navigate through all of that, but do what's best for you and help the people around you realize, hey, you know what, even if it's not comfortable for you or you don't understand it, I need you to trust this process. And at the end, there's going to be something so much better than what we're experiencing right now. So yeah, yeah, this project is going to be is yeah, I can't wait for it to start. But yeah, it's going to be a tricky one, and I may have to shift, but I'm going to be very transparent about that. And I think they're going to appreciate that even more. And then also, as the group evolves, right, i I want them to come up with their own ways of how they're going to take this and share this and carry it on. It's not a competition. It's like, how do we evolve together, and then we can branch out and keep it going. Sometimes, when you do see these group dynamics, everyone has their own ways, right? Or they want to take it in a different direction, and that's totally fine. Let's just finish up this phase, and then you're totally welcome to branch out, because that was the intention, right? It's not the intention to keep it just within the 8 people. It's to multiply it by 8. Yeah.
So, with your project, the collective new beginning,
Mhm.
what would success look like?
Success is going to be defined so differently for everyone, right? And I don't even want to give it a definition, because success could just be, hey, you know what? I made a commitment to finish this 8-week project, and I did it. And that's success for one person. The other one could be, yeah, you know what? I really wanted to make the change and look for a different job, but I was afraid to, because whatever, right? And by the end of the project, they have a actual plan of action to make that change. So that could be success for someone too. Or it could be someone that totally just resonates with the content and just consumes it all and just gets enlightened, and then is just excited to help keep branching out and sharing this information that they've learned within the original group and keep it going.
So, what would success look for you?
For me, I just enjoy watching people have that shift. and and it may not be much progress, but just the fact that I know that I've been able to open up their mind to new possibilities, that's enough for me. Because the rest I can't do. That's all on their own. What they're gonna do with the information moving forward. But you can tell when you're like, oh yeah, they got it. No, they're gonna go through their own process of how to get rid of all the stuff that's no longer serves them, but then now how do they consume all the information that they need to get to this new path that they've taken.
So, when we talked about your project, and when we talked about Lynn's project, how long does this whole process take? And is everyone different, or is there like any common denominators?
No, there's, again, it's the whole concept of time, right? So yes, we want to stick to some kind of agenda so that there's something linear, because we're linear learners, right? So we're not, okay, we're going to go from A to Z in this time frame, but it's going to be important for me to be flexible, to see, can, just because I think this is the way the process needs to go, but the group could be like, they they like totally grasp the content, and they just want to accelerate and get to week 8, right? So I have to be really flexible in that, but at least I have the infrastructure, and then I'll adjust. I mean, and it could also mean taking the group apart as well, right? Because if there's one person or two people that's just not in alignment with the group, then it's not going to work, right? So those are the different things I have to observe along the way and just make the decisions for the collective. And yeah, it's kind of be the bad guy, but yeah, but it's for their betterment, I mean, if I could take those two people who are actually more in alignment with each other out of the group and put them in their own group, they will probably get more success than trying to struggle and make it work with people they're not in alignment with. And that's totally fine. And that's part of the process, right? That's the shift we want them to have. Like, it's okay.
Okay, so is there anything else you want to tell us about your project and how they can participate?
Yeah, just go to my website. I'll have more information on that, on how to sign up, and what the vetting process is going to be. And that's not being picky. Of course I'm gonna let anyone in that wants to, but it's just about how I'm filtering them to be in the right group pods that they should be. And then I also want to make sure that there's going to be a commitment for the time that's going to be needed, right? Because again, we all intend to want to be a part of something, and then life gets in the way. So I want to help them through that. It's like, okay, like up front, we're going to start this. What are the things it may come and get in the way of you committing to the time that we've committed? And then how can we prevent that from happening so that it works for you and you can do this for yourself? I mean, that's what we always do. We sacrifice what we want to do because of other people's needs.
Wow, I mean, this is next level, Dawn. So I'm glad you're with us. So why don't you tell our viewers your contact information and how they can get more information from you?
Yeah, so on the screen is my website, newdawnholistichealth.com, or you can reach out to me through social media on Facebook, and my email address, info@newdawnholistichealth. Yep.
Awesome. So one last weird question. So if you can start a new beginning in some kind of fictional universe, where would you go and what would your first adventure be?
Oh my gosh. I want to go to Norway or Switzerland. I love those country, not, I don't like the skyscrapers. Like I just I just want some cottage off the coastline, and all I can see is ocean, and it's cool weather. Yeah. And it's just, I'm just some place that I can connect with nature, and disconnect from society.
I mean, the way I talk to you, Don, I feel like you're talking about Avatar, the movie.
It exists. It's up to us whether or not we want to see it.
For sure. So, Don, I'm so glad you're here with us today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm so thank you for having for joining us this week.
Sure thing.
Next week we're gonna have Samantha Kawawa with us. So don't forget to subscribe, leave us a review, and share this episode with someone who can benefit from it. And of course, we're here every Tuesday at 7 p.m. CST. You can watch episodes at watch.e360tv.com. We're in the Vitality TV network. We have a YouTube channel, Chronic Health Collective. And if you'd like to know more about our Chronic Health Collective, we have a website, chronichealthcollective.com. Thank you, Dawn, and we'll see you next week.
All right. Thank you, Minna. Take care.